Good evening, class. Today is 16th October 2024. My topic with you is Community Health Nursing 2 with code GNS 313, first year, second semester, post-basic class, set 2023/2024. My name is M.WAZIRI. So I will start the class with introduction. Even though we had introduction last week, but it is unfortunate there are only few in the class. So for the benefit of the majority that are absent last week, we will start all over today. But definitely we will go beyond introduction so that the class will progress. So you are welcome to second semester, first year. This your topic is community nursing. So the introduction, the course is designed to expose students to general epidemiological terms, prevention and control of communicable and non-communicable diseases, the epidemiology distribution, and the determinants of health-related states or events in human populations, as well as providing them with the necessary knowledge, attitude, and the skills for communicable and non-communicable disease control. It also introduces students to the fundamentals of data collection and the utilization in context of vital statistics and the disease notification. So the learning objectives here is aim at the end of the course, the student is expected to be able to define basic epidemiological terms, describe the concept of communicable and non-communicable diseases, demonstrate skills in the prevention and the control of endemic and epidemic diseases in the community. 4, develop skills in the collection of vital health statistics for feedback into nations. Epidemiology is the study of determinants, that is, occurrence and the distribution of health and the disease in a defined population. Epidemiology is the study of the distribution, causes, and control of health and the disease in a population. It is a fundamental part of clinical and the public health. What this entails is that determinants of health here means causes and the control. So epidemiology is a study of what causes and what controls health, but in a defined community. For example, if you are talking of MENA, let it be a MENA specific. What is causing and what is controlling either the spread of diseases within MENA metropolis? It's a good example of definition of epidemiology. Here are some things to know about epidemiology. You know, in every issue or concept, every topic or every statement have a concept. So these are what you need to know about epidemiology. Epidemiologist is someone who studies the epidemiology. That is someone who specializes himself in knowledge of causes or determinants of disease and their control in a specific community or in a locality or in a population. So epidemiologists gather and analyze medical data to identify health trends. So the epidemiologist does this as part of his work. It gathered and analyzed medical data to identify health trends. That is the motion or the movement of disease conditions. Also to determine which disease are increasing and identify effective treatments for existing diseases. How epidemiology is used. Epidemiological evidence is used to create and evaluate strategies to promote health and prevent diseases. The validity of epidemiological findings. The validity of epidemiological findings varies by field. One way to assess validity is to compare the ratio of false positives and false negatives. 5. The definition of terms. Infection is one of the commonest terms in epidemiology. Infection is the replication of organisms in host tissue, which may cause disease. Then we also have infectious agents. Infectious agents are organisms that cause disease, and they fall into 5 main categories, which are bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoa, and the helminthids. Then we have another one that was just recently being identified as prions. It's a newly recognized class of infectious agent made up of only protein. Researchers study infectious agents by isolating them using characteristics like size and the biochemical characteristics, which aids them in identifying this as a proteinous substance only. Then infective host. It is also another term used for infective hosts, infective for infection. Infective host is an organism that is exposed to and harbors a disease. The host can be a human or animal that gets sick, or an animal carrier that may or may not get sick, but is a host. What it means here is that it's either human being or animal that has a resistance to a disease-causing organisms. So it contains the organism and it can infect others. And it may be sick or it may not be sick, but it has the ability to host them while they keep growing, they keep replication, and they could cause diseases to the nearby contacts. So that means it can infect other people. Here are some examples of infective hosts and the disease they can carry. Cryptosporidium. This protozoa can infect humans and many other animals. It can be transmitted through contaminated food or water, or by direct contact with an infected person or animal. We also have clonochis sinensis. This parasite has multiple hosts, which includes freshwater snails, freshwater fish, shrimps, and more than 30 mammals, including humans, can host this specific parasite, which is clonochis. We also have another term, hepatitis C virus. This virus can cause chronic hepatitis, cirrhosis, of the liver, and the hepatocellular carcinoma, meaning cancer of the liver. It can invade the immune system through viral mutation and by inhibiting immune cells of the human body. So this is also a virus. As I mentioned earlier, it's an example of virus that are some of the disease-carrying hosts. Then susceptible. Susceptible means, what word do I use best to describe? But it means open, subject, or unresistant to something, or easily be influenced by harm or by something. So susceptible means like surrendering to any means of infection or cause of infection. That is susceptible. So it can be used that someone or something is susceptible to be infected with a particular or specific bacteria or virus or disease in particular. In medical terms, susceptible means easily affected by a disease, more likely to get a disease, or lacking resistance to a disease. That this best describes susceptibility. Then we have predisposed. Sometimes we refer them to predisposing factors. Predisposed is a state of being predisposed to, sensitive. It either means sensitive to or of lacking the ability to resist something. This is a predisposed. So you see there is a slight difference between predisposed and the susceptibility. Susceptibility here says you are weak to receive this. Predisposed is like you attract a certain condition to meet up with you. For example, now, you keep a naked bread in the room where rat exists. The bread is predisposed to be eaten because it's not protected. Well, it's susceptible to be eaten because it's not protected. Well, predisposed, maybe you keep a smoked fish also in a naked place in a room. But the naked fish has a peculiar scent to attract the rodents to come and eat, unlike the bread that may not smell anyway to attract the rat or the rodent. So that is just the differences between susceptibility and predisposed. Then we have reservoir. Reservoir is simply English words, which means a place where something is stored. But in a health ground, it's a place where infectious agent lives and multiplies, such as person, animal, plant, soil, or substance. All these parts, infectious agents can base on them and find comfort to reproduce in that place. Also have a route of transmission. We all know what is route. Route means access, road, thereabout. Then transmission means transferring element to another place or to another, from one substance to another substance. So in the collective terms, this denotes the route or the medium in which we inject infectious agent into our body. So we have the 5 F's that explain the main factors of transmission of disease that are spread through the fecal oral routes. We mentioned fluids, when contaminated fluids or water or any other form of liquids, meals means fluids. Then we have food, unwashed, uncooked, or inadequate cooked foods can also be a medium. Then we have flies. They can transmit pathogens from feces to humans or from any other carcass, dead bodies of animals or so, or rubbish or waste to humans. We have fields. This is areas where open defecations is common, like the open bush where people go and defecate. The open refuge dump sites are also good examples of fields like this. Then we have fingers. Unwashed hands can transmit pathogens from feces to humans, as we normally often wash our feces with the other hands, or sometimes come in contact with surfaces that are contaminated. We have sources of infection. Infections are caused by microorganisms, also known as germs, that can carried from a variety of sources, including other people, contaminated surfaces, food and water, animals, the environment, then within the body. We can explain this as, yes, sources of infection can come from other people if they are already being infected with a particular disease or infection. They can as well transmit that infection to another person, either by defecation or body-to-body contact, or sharing utensils like through salivas, through spoons, you share salivas, or even during sexual intercourse. You can transmit fluids from one person to the other, and the fluids are already contaminated with infectious agents, such as virus that causes HIV, hepatitis, and the rest of them. They will have contaminated surfaces. Yes, we have surfaces that are sometimes contaminated. People with virus infections, and maybe they have rhinitis or coryza and so on. By the time they clean up their salivas or mucoids and they use their hands to rub other handles of the doors, you can acquire or contact that infection through that medium also. It's as fast as anything. In fact, even hepatitis from a spillage of blood or through saliva from the full-blown hepatitis victim, you can easily contact it through that. Then we also have food and water. As we know, foods can be contaminated, particularly with virus or bacteria like the Salmonella typhi organisms bacteria. They can be in water, they can be in fruits, and even as well as uncooked or not properly cooked foods, or not properly washed vegetables or fruits. When you consume, you can be infected. We also have through animals. Yes, like the pigs, they are reservoirs of bacteria because they have a lot of fat in their body that blood do not flow through. So that fat harbors a lot of bacteria because the fat produce the warm temperature they need to survive. So they are well entertained and well kept there. So even when you cook, sometimes if they are not properly cooked, you can stay in contact. Even though you properly cook, some of the bacteria do not give up from heat. Likewise, some do not give up from cold. So some give up through uh, heat, some give up through cold. So anywhere you go by, you may still be contaminated. You may still be eating contaminated flesh from the pigs. Then we also have the environment. Normally, we used to have environmental pollution. We have airborne diseases that we can contact through the air. Even when your close by person sneeze hard, it could release germs that you can contaminate the air. You can contaminate the air while you are close by. You inhale, and you get infected with the specified disease he's carrying. Then within your body, we also used to have what we refer to autoimmune system crisis that used to also give back to infection. Sometimes we also have normal flora in our body that can also react to give us infection. So it's very common and easily described, mostly in our females. In the private parts, they have normal flora protecting the vagina, and that is why it's advisable for them not to be using medicated soap to douche. They will also have infections can be caused by a variety of microorganisms, including bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoa, and the helminthes. Some medical conditions, such as malnutrition, extremes of age, or implanted medical devices, can also make a person more susceptible to infection. Yes, we have a lot of medical implants. We have artificial sinus to help the heart pumping. We have cannulas for people that have, we have a catheter. We have copper T that is for family planning and so on and so on. All these things can equally back to react in the body as foreign bodies to attract existing bacteria to react and cause immune reactions, which will lead to formation of pus during the process called phagocytosis. We also have immunity, the quality or state being immune, especially a condition of being able to resist a particular disease, especially through preventing development of pathogenic microorganisms or by counteracting the effects of its products. Say acquired acquired immunity, active immunity, and natural immunity. And we also have passive immunity. I think this is self-explained. We didn't need to explain all this sort of immunity, but we all know immunity. We have immunity. We understand what is called passive immunity, which is being acquired from the mother to child. We have natural immunity, which is being developed by normal body to organisms interactions, and we also have active immunity, which has been induced. So we have another word called incubation period. All these are peculiar in epidemiological studies. Incubation period. They are also associated with infection and they are associated to infective agents and associated to infection. Incubation period is a medical term that refers to the time between exposure to an infectious agent or infection, disease, and the onset of symptoms. It is usually measured in days or weeks. You can get infected in a variety of ways, depending on the specific disease and how it spreads. Incubation period here simply means normally Uh, let me give you an example of planting. It's not the day you plant you reap. So also infection. It's not the day the organism gets to you, it manifests. It will require time to cause damages that will reflect in your system. So that period is referred to as incubation period. It could be presence, but your body will not notice its presence until it has causes some damages or it has made an effect in your system or it has made its own impact in your system by altering some normalities to reflect abnormalities. And this is when you recognize infection. And that period is referred to as incubation period. So, regardless, how many times have we already enjoyed? 3 more minutes? Okay, we also have outbreak as a term in epidemiology. A disease outbreak is the occurrence of disease cases in excess of normal expectation. The number of cases varies according to the disease causing agent and the size and the types of previous and the existing exposure to the agent. This refers to, when we say outbreak, it's like, yes, something is in prison. Now, they has gained freedom. There are many ever there before, but in prison. Now, they have gained freedom. So this means that the disease specifically has been existing and is occurring and is affecting people, of course, time to time, individually, not, often. But when we say it's outbreak, the numbers of people it affects or it infects at a particular given time by number above expectation or by number too much more than usual is now refers to outbreak. It's now referred to outbreak. So now we have communicable disease outbreak. Environmental factors influencing the spread of communicable diseases. When we say factors influencing the spread of communicable diseases, well, first of all, what is communicable diseases? Communicable diseases simply means diseases that we can share through our contacts with each other or through our affiliation, relationship with each other. It refers to communicable diseases. They can easily be contacted. They can easily be transferred from one person to another. They are communicable diseases. Irrespective of their medium or means, they are all communicable diseases. So when we come to an outbreak to communicable diseases, they just don't normally occur like that. There must be a factor that supports or facilitates or influences the speed of transmission. So I want us to identify these factors now. We say a number of environmental factors influence the spread of communicable diseases, and those that are prone to cause epidemics, or the most important of those factors are water supply. Normally, if a community have a common water supply that they share all together, every one of the members of the community consume and cook and drink from the same source of water. Once the water is contaminated with a specific disease, it's liable to go around through. The same thing to sanitation facilities. When we say sanitation facilities, this includes our toiletries. It includes our disposal sites. So when something is contaminated there and it's airborne, it's easily spread through those mediums. Then we have foods. If our foods are contaminated, the same thing will happen. Then we have a climatic factor, or we have climate factor. For example, heat. When there is no space, or we live in clusters, we can easily inhale each other's breath due to shorts of oxygen or ventilation around us. Maybe we close ourselves in a closed door, there is not enough ventilation in circulation. So we just have to share our existing exposed carbon dioxide, which is already contaminated with infection or infectious substances from one of us that is in our mix being infected already. So we could easily share it through that medium. I think we hold this class at this point, and next week we continue from this point. So take note, our break today is on outbreak, which we have discussed. So in the next class, we will discuss incidence and incidence rate, also as a term in epidemiology, which is also an important portion in epidemiology. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much. Till we meet next week. So I will say bye for now. Thank you very much.